Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for coming out in this rain. It's like biblical out there, so thank you. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about myself and who I am and my background. But the first thing that I wanted all of you to know, because you're kind of, getting to a place where you're thinking about what's next, is that no matter where you go and no matter what you do, there's always going to be someone younger, smarter, cheaper, prettier, better connected, and better educated than you are. And the most important part as an entrepreneur, as someone who's really driven, is to use that as your motivator, to always know where your competition is, to always know what someone out there is doing, because you want to be the best at what you can do. And that fear and the passion to be the best at what you are is the thing that makes anyone who's really, really good at what they do get up and get out of bed every single day. The most important part about owning your own business is that you become your business. There's never a day off. There's never a minute that you're not thinking about what's next or where the money's coming from or how you're going to pay your rent. But with that, if you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like a job. When it overtakes your life and overtakes your family and overtakes every conversation that you have with anyone you love, it doesn't feel like work. It really and truly defines who you are. So for me, being an entrepreneur, being a small business owner, being in fashion, the thing that I want to leave on this earth in my mark is to inspire someone, to show my children and my daughters that they can pave their own path and that they don't need to go to school, come out, get a job, and just live a mundane life, that they can really, really live whatever dream that they have if they really work hard and they're passionate about that. So, starting there, I'll give you a little bit about my background, because for me, standing here and calling myself a fashion entrepreneur, it's fine, but the reality is that I barely made it out of a state school. I had probably 25 different jobs by the time I was 21 years old. Fortunately, I have a father who also is an entrepreneur. He's the largest manufacturer of lampshades in the United States, and he has, for as long as I've been alive, he's owned something in the lighting business. When I was a teenager, he owned a chain of stores in New York, and where my friends would go to like a soccer game, I would get on a train and go to New York and work and then eventually run some of his stores in New York City. So for me, owning a business and doing what I do, it was never a second thought. And I think that what was self-defeating about that is that when I sat in school and I sat in college and I went for formal education, I would listen to what my teachers told me. But I think because I was so exposed to such different ways of thinking at such an early age, I never fully bought into the dream of I need to go to school to be a business owner. That comes with regret, though. Standing here today, I can tell you that some of my flaws are probably some of the most important things and some of the most important skills that you need to be a successful entrepreneur. I'm horrible with math and accounting, and all of my paperwork is in giant boxes, and I hand them to my accountant once a year and cross my fingers that I'm not going to hear from the IRS. I am really, really bad at delegating. I have to do everything myself. I actually went to school for fashion, and the minute that I found out that I had to cut fabric, it just wasn't for me. But knowing that kind of knowing where I wanted to go and sitting there and like sitting through a business law class or sitting through like a geometry class, I couldn't motivate myself. So it was sort of self-defeating coming from this world of I can to having to learn the proper steps, to learning how to get from A to Z, because I wanted to go from A to J to W. So it's important to have both pieces, and that's probably, for all of my success, it's also my biggest failure. And today I've learned that I've grown to a place that I can, I know to hire a person. Like if you have a weakness, it's okay to say, I'm imperfect and can you help me with this? And there's great things out there now. Like there's Fiverr. Like I'm horrible at graphic design. For $5, I can go to Fiverr and have a great whatever it is I need made. Things like that. So it's okay to have those deficiencies. You don't need to be good at everything to be a really successful business owner. But going backwards and going back to my background, I went to school, I came out, I was horrible at it. I had jobs, everything from, I was one of the first junior plus size fit models in New York City at like 17 years old. I worked for a modeling school, I worked for a dating service where I sold dating service memberships. I worked for a diet place, I worked for a gym, I did everything. And I kind of flip-flopped around because I knew that I wanted to be a driver. Like I knew I wanted to be someone who created business and created momentum and just did something outside of myself. But it took me a while to kind of figure out what that was and how I could do that. So when I was about 25 years old, through a connection of my father's, I got hooked up with a gentleman named Harvey. And Harvey was very popular in the Philadelphia area. He owned a large retail business called Mr. Goodbyes. And what Mr. Goodbyes was, is it was like a mass market. It was kind of like what Christmas Tree Shop would be today, except that it was in like the 80s. So working with Harvey though, and working hand in hand, I really learned about mass marketing and mass volume marketing and being like an off-price retailer. And I'm thankful for that experience because that's kind of what I do today in the fashion industry, is that we kind of take everybody's last year's models and we sell them at a cheaper price, and we sell a lot of them, and that's kind of what my business is. So where my business is today, is just to kind of touch on that real fast, is it's called Style Studio by Lulu. We're the 4-time winner of Philadelphia's hottest accessories. We have been housed in the Booth Corner Farmers Market for the last 4 years. We just won Delaware Today's Best Bang for Your Buck. So we just sell like a lot of fashion, scarves, handbags, and jewelry. So you guys probably aren't that into it. But the most important thing about what we're doing is it's not what we're actually selling, it's the way that we're selling it. It's the way that we're reaching out to people. It's the way that we're finding new customers. It's the way that we're using social media to kind of identify where we should be selling. So I worked, going backwards, I worked in the lighting industry. I had this great mentor. I kind of did that for a while, and then through just different, kind of got burnt out of that. I became an executive headhunter. I had placed seven-figure guys. I did like executive search, executive headhunting, a lot of work on the phone. And we had really, really high expectations. And it would be, I lived in a world where if you didn't produce, you would go to work the next day and your boss would have taken your chair. You couldn't sit for the day. You had to work on your feet. You're on the phone. And that was kind of, 15 years ago, it was okay. Like that, we didn't produce, we lost our chair. And I think at the time, that lesson, I was so mad. I thought, oh my gosh, like what a horrible way to work. Like what a horrible way to motivate me. But now that I'm a boss, and now that I have people that are really hard to motivate, there are definitely days that I have wanted to take someone's chair. But I don't think you can do that in this world anymore. I'm not 100% sure. But I had great mentors. And one thing that he said to me at one point, I had gotten really, really good at what I did. And he had said to me, I went into his office and I asked him for a raise, and I was like, look, I'm making your whole business. I just made you $1 million. You're paying me $20,000. I want 40. And he said to me, and one of the things that brought me to my knees, and just such a defining moment to me, is he said, I could go to Rita's Water Ice, and I could hire the girl at Rita's Water Ice to do your job, and she would do it as good as you did it. And that to me really spoke volumes of, what was I doing? Like I was really good at what I was doing. I was making somebody else a lot of money. But he didn't see that I had value. He also, I also realized that I did have value, and I wanted to do something better, and I wanted to move on and to stop making everybody else all this money. I wanted to do it myself. So I left, like probably the next day. I was like, okay, you know what, he's right. And I started to think, what is it that I wanted to do? And my mom will always tell you that even as a little girl, when other people would be playing with toys, I would be playing in everybody's purses. I would sit there and I would take them out and I'd put them together and I'd walk around with them. And that is just something that I was always into. My brother always set up like his little men, and he would like make a stage, and now he's an award-winning producer in New York. So there's something I think said very early on about the things that you're interested in and the things that you're passionate about and how you pursue them through life. I think those little kernels are probably there along the way. Life went on, I got older, I got married, it's my husband, and so we had moved to Delaware for his job, and we were living in Philadelphia. I was working in information technology for 13 years after I had left and tried to figure out what I wanted to do next. I still needed to earn an income, so I continued on in IT, and I was a director of staffing and resources and technology for just through the whole dot-com bubble. So I've worked for really big systems integrators. I worked for really big companies that would outsource staffing and things like that. So I kind of started to get my feet wet in technology, and that was something that I was really, really interested in. I loved seeing how to use the internet to do free ads to attract candidates to come to work to our company. You know, at the time when the dot-com bubble was so hot, everybody was scrambling for top technology talent. And what I was able to do was figure out ways to make our company stand out, to make our company look unique without utilizing resources. Like I started a Yahoo group, and this is like, you know, I don't even know, I'm going to date myself here, but like in the early 2000s. You know, we used Yahoo groups, and we used Craigslist, and we used all these things before there were ways to find a job. Now if you're going to go look for a job, you're going to go to a job board, you're going to search what you're looking for. That is new. Like when I started in this role, like that didn't exist. So, you know, I was part of the wave of people though that started those things. I was, you know, on different executive boards for different job boards. I contributed a lot to how people hired in this world when people started using boards like Monster and Job Circle and all those kind of things. So with that being said, I was really interested in technology. I was really interested in saying, like, if I do this, how do I get people to come to my company? How do I get eyes on my words? And, you know, I had just found that networking, and, you know, I think networking now, it kind of comes out like how many followers do you have on Instagram? How many friends do you have on Facebook? But there's actually this other thing called networking where you actually go out and you shake hands with somebody. And I feel like just with everyone that I talk to these days, that's so far removed. Like the thought of like walking into a room of like 50 people and not knowing who they are, I think brings a lot of people to their knees. But I think to be successful in this world at this point, it's such a talent to really be able to walk up and start a conversation. Not send a text, not, you know, send an email the next day after you shake a hand. Really be able to engage someone, make eye contact, and have a conversation. So all those things got me to where I am today. We'd moved to Delaware. I was still working in technology, but the commute was awful, and I had just gotten married. So one of the most important things at the time to me was health benefits. So because I was married, I was able to get benefits through my husband. So he will tell you he was the first investor in my company. I think so for our first wedding anniversary, he had given me $1,000 to start my company. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to sell handbags on the internet. I thought, you know, there's really not a site at the time to kind of go out there and to kind of do this. And this is 10 years ago, so we're talking 2005. So I thought, you know, there's really nobody out there, and there's nobody selling handbags on the internet. I thought, that's such a great business. You know, every woman loves handbags. And he actually said to me, like, how can you have this business with handbags? He had no idea how many bags every woman truly has hidden in their closet. So I went and I bought my first batch of handbags wholesale. I had a cousin at the time who worked in the fashion industry, and she was able to give me some contacts here in the United States of who to kind of contact and who to start to work with. So I contacted them. I probably spent like my first $300, and in my garage I had a huge carton of really cheap handbags. So I thought, okay, now I have them. Where do we go from here? So I put them on the website, and I built like a pretty website, and I did the whole thing, and I did it all myself because, you know, I'm semi-technical. And so the first thing I do is email my friends. I email my family. I email all the people that I've ever known in my entire life to say, hey, yes, this is what I'm doing now. I have this company, it's called Lulu's, and we're going to sell handbags. So they all looked, and they all shared it with their friends, and they all showed it to their friends, and we made a sale here, and we made a sale there. But that wasn't enough, because for me, I don't do anything with one toe in. I go both feet all the time. So I thought about, how do I market? Like if I'm in my current job and in my current position and I need to hire a candidate for a job, what do I do? Well, I go out and I meet the people. I go to a job fair, I go to a trade show, I go to a users group, whatever it is, and I shake hands. And I thought, wait a minute, if I do that to sell or to look for a candidate or to sell a multi-million-dollar integration project, why can't I do that for a $25 handbag? So I went to my first women's group in Delaware. We just moved to Delaware, and Delaware is very, very much, it likes its own. So I went to this women's group and I shook a lot of hands. I met a lot of women. I handed out a lot of business cards and I said, this is what I'm doing. I have a handbag company. Everything's $25. Please come look at my site. And they went, and like there was a sale here and there was a sale there. But what they taught me is it's really hard to buy a bag online because they really wanted to see it and feel it and touch it. So my dreams of being this just e-commerce site, it started to become a reality when my husband would come home and I'd have like 4 ladies in my living room looking at bags, and it kind of turned into like a party all the time. But at some point too, that wasn't safe anymore. It wasn't safe to have these strangers that I've met on the internet to come into my house and to see these handbags and hope that everything went okay. So I'd found a space at a farmer's market, and what was great about that is that the farmer's market was only open 2 days a week. So I thought, that's great, I get a work-life balance, they can come in and see what I'm selling, and they can try it on, and they can, you know, bring their friends, and I'll have this space. So accidentally, I guess I was doing such a good job that our retail business got so busy that it went from like 2 days a week to like almost 5 days a week. During this whole time though, I was still working my full-time job because I needed a sustainable income, and I was able to quit. So I finally got after 15 years of doing this, I was finally able to walk away and truly work for myself. The difference being though is that I had a source of income just in case things didn't work out. I always had that safety net. I wasn't paying the mortgage. I wasn't, making the car payment. Just in case, I had a second source of income. So I was able to do it. And that is something that's very unique, and I was very lucky for that situation because that doesn't always happen. So it got really, really busy. People loved what we were doing, but then I realized that they wouldn't just come in and buy a handbag every week. So now we then started to kind of get into jewelry, because if they weren't going to buy a bag every week, maybe they would buy an earring. And then an earring turned into a necklace turned into a scarf turned into a wallet. So it just kind of grew into this really robust offering just of all these fashion accessories. But what was different about us, because you can go anywhere and buy a fashion accessory, you can go to, name it, and they sell fashion accessories. What was different about what we were doing though is that we were buying overstock. We were buying pieces that nobody else wanted, and we were selling them for like nothing. We were selling them for like a quarter of what their original retail price was, and ladies literally would come into our store with shopping carts and fill shopping carts, and that was just an amazing experience. So that was great, and that lasted for about 5 years, and then the economy changed. And when they used to buy 5 things, now they were buying 1. And what I was finding is that our local markets were no longer really sustaining my business. So we went back online, and we really made a big effort. When retail kind of really started falling apart at the end of last summer, I took all the money that I made and I invested in a private label scarf line called Cozy by Lulu. In my scarf line is now primarily what we're selling online. We sell everywhere. We're the top selling scarf brand online. We sell on Amazon. We sell at Sears. We sell on, basically you name a site, we probably sell there. And that's kind of what we're doing. We ship anywhere from 150 to 200 scarves a day out of our facility on Silverside Road. We did move out of the farmer's market in January, and what we have now is more of a design studio with a showroom that's opened on the weekends, because our e-business has completely surpassed our retail business. So it's still there. If you want to come in and see it and try it on and visit it, it's there. But really now what we're doing is we're servicing that internet business. The point of all of that history is this: to be successful and to kind of keep doing what I'm doing and to be able to have this business and to be on my own, is that what my original thought was needed to change. And I needed to be able to roll with the economy, roll with technology, roll with those experiences. Last summer, we started working with an integrator that sold through Facebook called Soldy. Soldy was amazing. I put all my stuff on Soldy. The first night I made $1,500 in 3 hours. I was taking selfie pictures, sending it to my husband. I'm like, look, oh my gosh, this is it. We're good. 4 months later, Facebook changed their terms and conditions of how people see businesses' news feeds. And Soldy went from the best thing that ever happened to us to literally 4 weeks later, we were making $0. Do not ever put all of your eggs in someone else's basket. What I have found is, like right now I can tell you our greatest source of income is Open Sky. We're selling, like, we can't even keep up with the orders that we get from this website, Open Sky. And Open Sky is it's a website designed to work with emerging brands and to bring these brands to a larger or global marketplace. It's great, but you know what? It's an e-business, it's an e-commerce. They could sell tomorrow, they could sell to Amazon, and Open Sky can go away. And what I have learned, because I came from a .com, is that their biggest interest is in anybody who builds a business, is to build a business to the point that you can sell it, make a lot of money, and walk away. So I know, I've done this long enough to know to not rest on my laurels, because we have a lot of money coming in right now with one site. So we're always looking to diversify. We're always looking to bring the line to new places. Something else, because I sell fashion scarves. In the fall, it's phenomenal. I mean, it's just like scarves are flying through the air. We're throwing scarves. We're putting them in bags. Spring, it's different. It's a fashion scarf. It's a lower ticket item. But now it's summer, so not many women wear scarves in the summertime. So now we're focusing on more of beach bags, fashion jewelry, things that you're going to take on vacation with you, sunglass cases, little things that you're going to take because you're probably not going to be shopping as much. You're going to be out, you're going to be living your life, you're going to be having a great time. But if I just started this business, I may not have known that, but because I had 10 years of diversified retail fashion business, I'm able to get in front of that. And I think the thing that is different about my business, and the thing that I enjoy the most, is that even though it's almost a 10-year-old company, I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing. Every single day it changes. Every single day I learn something new. And I think that the greatest thing I see, like with my father is now like almost 70 years old, and he's doing business exactly the way that his business is doing for the last 20 years. And he's successful. And it's so frustrating to me because I want to say, hey Dad, here's Facebook, and hey Dad, let's put some photos on Instagram. And he's like, whoa, 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 like I don't know about this thing. But that's, he's doing well, but he could do better. So I always want to teach him about these things, and I always want him to see it. And for me, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm 42 years old. In a few years, how relevant is my taste in fashion going to be? How relevant is my knowledge of technology and social media? So I really need to be realistic about where I am in this world, where do I want my company to go, what are my aspirations, and what are my dreams. And I do know that I'm always looking to hire someone younger, smarter, better connected, better informed in technology than I am. Because I've been there, I've done it, I've climbed the mountain. I'm a little tired. Like, I'd like to hand that down to somebody else, and I would like to learn from somebody else who's out there, who's doing it, who's like really plugged in and who knows what's happening. We've recently hired actually somebody from the fashion program at University of Delaware. She's been out for about a year or so, but she's now my product manager, and she's doing a great job. So, I think the thing that's the most important, though, in doing this and having your own business is that just to always be open to other people's ideas, because I don't know everything. There's no rules, there's no book, there's no reference, there's no teacher to say, hey, I have this idea, is it gonna work? The only thing that you can do is try. And hopefully you're not making big investments, hopefully you're not making big mistakes. So a lot of what we do, and especially being in fashion, is that, you think something's going to be really big, it's on the cover of a magazine, and you want to go out and you want to buy 500 pieces of whatever that thing is. But if people are not interested in it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the magazines say. What is good about my company is that we typically sell to someone who I am. And our customers are typically 20 to 40-year-old women who don't have a lot of money to spend. And what we do is, instead of just constantly selling them something new, we're always educating them into refreshing what they already own. Good jeans, good t-shirts, good things like that. And then taking a little bit of what we're doing with fashion accessories and refreshing what they already have in their closet. The trends change, they come and they go, and you don't want to spend a lot of money on something that's really, really hot right now. And if you can do that, that's wonderful, but most people can't. We do have a very, very commercially viable line. We really kind of sell to the every woman. We don't look to sell to like a fashion crowd. We have things that are fashionable, and we have things that are marketable, but they're really, they're kind of run-of-the-mill. There's nothing like extraordinary, but they're affordable, they're nice quality, and they're a good value for what we're selling. So I guess I've kind of talked my half an hour, and thank you for listening so nicely and patiently and quietly. Can I answer anything for anyone?
What do you aspire to do with your company from here on out?
I think that probably one of two things will happen. Either in 3 to 5 years, I would just shut it down, or I would like to inspire other people to be able to run that. I think for myself personally, I am very fortunate in my life situation where I do what I love because I can and because I love doing it. It's still to this day not how we pay our mortgage. We do well, but at the same time, it's for me, it's what's so great about it and exciting about it is that it still can be fun because I don't have to worry about the bills. I pay the company's bills, but I have someone who does those things. So you all need one of him is what the answer is. Okay, anybody else?
You said after the retail started to go a little downhill, you chose to do scarves online. Why did you pick scarves?
That's a good question. One of the things that I had found is that it's really expensive to ship things. It just costs a lot of money. And so we were selling purses for $25 to $30, but to ship that it would cost like $7. Well, you don't want to spend 1/3 of what you're buying on shipping. So what I found is that a fashion scarf, you're spending $10 for a scarf and maybe shipping's $3. You're spending $15 and shipping's $3. It's very hard to damage a scarf in the mail. It's very easy to pack. They're very easy also to warehouse. They don't take up a lot of space, where for us, it's just a very scalable business. It's been great, and what's nice about it is that because it's a lower ticket item, if I do make a mistake, it's not a $1,500 mistake. Maybe it's a $150 mistake. And I also found that just through doing what I do, if you make something cheap enough, or even if I have to sell it at a wholesale price just to get rid of it, somebody will usually buy it if the price is right. So that's that there. Anyone else? Go.
I got another question.
Sure.
You said that now you're one of the biggest online sellers of scarves. Now, that didn't happen with the purses and everything, so why do you think the scarves did so well?
I think because it is something that I felt like I could stand behind for the first time. Whereas if I was selling a purse, it's almost like buying a car. Like everybody looks for certain bells and certain whistles. It's for whatever reason, I don't know if I can make you understand, but it's the same way for a woman with her purse. Like it needs to fit a certain way, it needs to look a certain way. With the scarves, it is something that I feel like definitely transcends any age. Like I know little girls now who are 5 and 6 years old, they're wearing scarves, and it's always been a staple for an older woman's wardrobe. So I feel it's more of an every woman type of product. And it's also one of those things too where you can put it away and it will stay in season, or it will stay in style for more seasons.
So did you leverage any of the customers from the actual retail business to get it, when you first decided to do it, to get a bunch of customers? Is that what you did?
Well, they were, it's funny because my retail business and my scarf and online business, because of the way that we were housed, we had the retail store, but our online business was actually housed somewhere else. So it was really hard, and even now we're struggling to translate online sales with our brick and mortar customers. Our brick and mortar customers still want to come in and buy. They're my greatest cheerleaders. They love that I have this scarf line, and they all think, the thing that I love the most about having the retail store is it gave me that one-on-one engagement. And we knew our customers by name. We knew what they bought the last time they came in. And I am on my knees thankful every single day for those women who came in to visit us every single week at that farmer's market. And without them, I couldn't have built to that next level. But I do feel that there was a little bit of, they almost feel betrayed because they were part of what built this beautiful company that they love so much, to vote us to be best of Philly, to vote us to be all these different things that we've won. But they now kind of feel like, well, what about us? Because we moved, everything's online now, and things like that. I also do want to talk about something else, and this is something I talked to Ben about. From the time that I have been doing this, fashion is a tricky, tricky B word. And I find that I've met two types of people in fashion since I've been in fashion. One is the people who do business from a place of ego. And when I say ego, I mean they only go to events if they know that the media is going to be there. They only do things that are going to get them press. They're only in this because they want to see themselves in a magazine. They want to see an article written about them. They want to be standing here today. you can't do business from that place. If you're doing business to feed your ego, you're not going to do great business because you're going to miss the important factors of what makes your business great. For me, and for what I deal with on a daily basis, it would be very easy for me to say, here, somebody else deal with this. This customer is unhappy, and she got a necklace, and there's like a little stone missing. It would be such a dream to just hand that off and to not care anymore. But I can't, because that's what makes our business great. That's why we have a 40% repeat customer business. We have tons of referrals. We have a loyalty program, and it's very robust. And because I care about my business, because I care about our customers, because I care about the people who got us to where we are today, that is the difference. Because of doing all those things, and because of being so type A, and because of caring about every single little piece of my business, we have won those awards. And I just was in Delaware today, just named me like a Delaware Businesswoman of the Year for 2013, and I got a photo shoot, and I got tons of gift cards and all those great things. But that's never my end game. My end game is to make sure that I can put my head on my pillow every single night and know that any issues are solved or resolved, because it's not going to go away. There's not going to be a boss who's going to come in and fix it for me. There's not going to be an employee who's going to want to take on some of my responsibilities as an owner. Being a business owner, I do, and I always say, it's like, I change light bulbs, I take out trash, I clean the toilet. I also get to go to the great events. I get to do things like this. I get to, get all the fancy free stuff, and and it's wonderful. I got to be in an Aveeno commercial. I got to be in a magazine. I got to ring the NASDAQ bell. I get to do all those great things, but those things don't come easily, and those things don't come to everybody. And I think that a combination of being a good business person and knowing when to push and knowing when to step back and knowing when to help somebody else blossom in their role is really, really important. The one thing that I find is just, in my company, it's very similar to if you have an idea, bring it to me. If it's a great idea, let's go for it, because again, I don't know everything. I'm always open to new ideas. I'm always open to new technologies. But I find that something in the culture now, I feel like there's a little bit of, everybody's looking for accolades. Everybody's looking to be recognized. Everybody wants an award. But the reward from where I come from is just, having a great place to work, going to work every single day, being a part of a team that's winning awards. If you're always doing things for recognition, it's never going to get you anywhere, and a lot of times those things backfire. So just, always just making sure that you're moving forward, that you're doing good work, that you're contributing, that you're, I always say, act in a way as if someone talked about you, they would never believe it. And I think that that's just kind of like a good, always be on the up and up. So, it's hard in company, when you're working in companies and there's people and everybody's trying to get ahead. It's an easy, slippery slope to fall down. Good, yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. Great. Thank you. Great.